Yuji tells the man that he should buy his own shoes if he doesn't want athlete's foot. The soldier wonders how he knows this, and Yuji reveals that he's been a soldier since he was a kid, but the man thinks he's just joking in the bedroom. The man calls him an Asian boy, but Yuji tells him he's Japanese and introduces himself as Yuji. The man mocks him and calls him Eugene because he looks girly, but Yugi corrects him and tells him that his crazy music is making him a deaf. The man takes it in good sport and introduces himself as Danny Boner because he has a big black. Danny calls Yuji Shorty, and Yuji gives up. The next day, the commander slaps Yuji in the face because he's raised by Akko, so he should be grateful and honored by the slap. What during training, Danny lags behind and asks for Yuji to wait up, but he tells him to stop all the smoking, even as they swim. Danny's big muscles gas out faster, and Yuji tries to encourage him. He asks him what he would do if a girl with big plot was drowning, and this inspires Danny to swim faster than a shark during lunch. Danny makes fun of Yuji's new face, but Yuji tells him that their commander has been a pain. Recently, Danny tells him that he thinks she's a gorilla that would never get married, but Yuji calls her attractive. Danny thinks that Yuji is insane, but Annie comes from behind and tastes Danny's big punisher. Sorry, I meant Annie punished Danny during range practice. Yugi shoots every single bullet on point, which surprises the commander, as Ayako, the best sniper in the world, was the only one who used to accomplish such a feat. A girl hears their conversation and oversees Yuji being awarded first place in sniping. She comes up to him later at night asking him to talk with her. She introduces herself as Millie, and Yugi wonders why pushy women are the only ones he gets next to the swimming pool. He restrains her after she punched him until she apologizes. He recognizes her as the second place sniper and asks her what she wants. Millie tells him that she meant marksmanship, and they go to AR range together with her weapon. She tells him that her father used to hit these targets when they were out of range, but believed that all of it was just him being drunk and lying. Yuji's first shot miss, and she tells him to chill out because he only has 6 shots left. Yuji asks her what the color of the sky is today, and takes aim and fires, hitting the target. He tells her that her father probably wasn't lying, and Millie finds a person she can trust. After that day, his training was complete, and he was sent overseas for his final exam aboard the ship. Danny asks him what he bought with his money because he was able to get a car, but Yugi reveals that he only got a lady's watch. Danny makes fun of his watch and Yuji's Asian persuasion, saying that Yugi's been giving Millie the small hour hand, while Danny could be giving her the long minute hand emotional damage. Millie hears his vulgar language and kicks him while they argue. A random weirdo is playing a dating simulator with his little sister and loses his mind as she takes her plot armor off. They wonder how he's shamelessly doing this and wonder what language he's speaking. Yuji is cultured in this subject and knows that he must be a fellow man of culture from Japan day after day. Yu was commanded to do as he was told and build his confidence, until one day they were deployed into the actual battlefield inside the forest. Yuji looks at his squadron, a former car thief and thug from Arizona, a poor girl who used to sell herself in restrooms, an anime otaku who wants his sister, and finally a sniper that can't kill anyone. They were the most useless group in the entire army, but Danny interrupts his thoughts and asks him if he would like to get that bird for food. Yuji takes aim and fires, hitting the bird, but begins throwing up. He wonders how he would handle killing a person if this is what a bird did to him. Inside their tents, they're introduced to their acting commander on the field. Their days of setting traps began, but one night Yuji realized that enemies were coming for them. They get in position as the battle begins, and Yuji fires to neutralize the enemy, but throws up after shooting his friends. Continue fighting on the front lines as they wait for reinforcements, but Yuji begins faltering. His commander tells him to close his eyes and realize that all of his friends, his family, may die, the ones he spent this entire time and shared laughter and food with them. All of them are his family, fighting to protect him from the enemy. The commander tells him that the enemy is inhuman and that it's okay to hesitate when killing people, but he shouldn't sit back and watch his family dying helplessly. His commander tells him to kill them and that he will assume full responsibility for it that he gives him. Permission to do it one by one. The enemy fell down, and even as Yuji hates it, the commander continues counting the amount of enemies being neutralized. Not a single shot is wasted, and the entire enemy front line gets annihilated. Yuji continues wanting to battle, but the commander stops him, telling him that everything's fine now, and that he can sleep peacefully after falling unconscious. Yugi wakes up in Mill's lap, who comforts him. She tells him that everyone's been saved by him, and that they will always support each other, and that she will never let him die. After a while of being on the battlefield, his resolve became stronger, and he wasn't influenced by the constant battles and explosions around him. Danny, however, begins losing sight of what this war is about and what winning even means. But their deployment comes to an end, and Yuji survives the terrible background, along with all of his friends as he leaves back to his homeland. Danny comes up to Millie and asks if she'll be fine with her boyfriends leaving her. She tells him that they said their goodbyes yesterday and destroyed their relationship, so Danny swoops in and asks her if he can make her feel better by destroying her with his tenure. Stop it, get some help. Millie stares at the window where Yuji was and prays to God that Yuji will find happiness in life and be blessed in everything that he does. In the gathering, Twilight Yuji boards a plane home. It was a windy day when he returned to his familiar mountain, and the paths were just as he remembered. His welcome home was Akko, and she thinks that he looks more mature now. After great plot development, Yugi tells Asako that seeing her face was the first time he's ever been glad that he's alive. Yuji tells her that he doesn't know what to do with his life, but that he wants to give every bit of it to her after that. He finished his final training after the Vancouver International Airport, and that was the last time he'd ever seen Danny's friendly, smiling face as everyone cried. Yuji wondered when Danny's joke was going to end. A few months passed, and during one of Yuji's missions in Spain, JB called him to come home immediately because Akko collapsed. The only information he'd received is that it was a chronic condition from being shot many times in her life. Doctors tried to treat her, but her body had become extremely fragile from all the substances she was forced to take during her deployment. Once he arrived, JB told Yugi that Aso's been drifting out of consciousness very frequently and that she's been dozing off longer. Yuji sees Akko apologizing for taking so long to get home. She holds his hand, and Yugi asks her if she is dying, to which she says that she is. She apologizes for always lying to him, that she would stay alive with him. He begins crying, telling her that he hasn't learned everything from her yet, but she tells him to stop crying, and to be more of a man, like she taught him. She tells Yugi that she's finally understood what her life means. Now that she's about to die, it was her resolve that allowed her to save him and spend her life with him. Yuji cries, telling her that she was his only saving grace in a life that betrayed him at every point. He tells her that he wanted to believe in her till the end because she was the only reason he had for living. Asako tells him to live his life for his own sake from now on. After all, that's the type of man she's always wanted him to become. He tells her that he can't, and that he only survived because of her. Every time he was cold, she was the warmth he could turn to. He wonders what type of future it's going to be without her, but she encourages him to find out for himself, to keep fighting and struggling, and to be the man she always wanted him to become. She tells him she's accepted that she's going to pass on, but Yuji asks her who gave her permission. Even if it was God, Yuji wants to fight him off to keep her by his side. Akko tells him to stop being so silly. He spends the rest of the time with her, and she tells him the stars are so pretty today. You looks outside and tells her that the stars are very pretty today. Asako tells Yuji that she remembers him looking out at the stars and crying when he first came to live with her. She asks him what he was thinking about, but Yuji tells her that he can't remember. Asako laughs, telling him that she knew his response. She tells him that she's tired and asks him if she could go to sleep. Yugi tells her that she can go to sleep, and after that, Asako never woke up again. Her body was taken away by JB's subordinates, and Yugi tried to pull himself together. By the time she was cremated, JB let him know that they found a bullet among the ashes, and Yuji thinks that it really befits Ao's personality. Weeks pass, and Yuji wonders if he would go to the same place as Akko when he meets his doom. But he will not allow that to happen yet, not until he's fulfilled his promise to Akko of saving 5 people. This is his only purpose left, but someday he wishes to see her again. Yuji sleeps on the floor for days, but JB comes to slap him awake. Staying in that cabin where Ao's praise still lingered was filling Yuji's head with thoughts he shouldn't be thinking of, so JB took him into her apartment to live with her. Living together, they would compensate for each other's wounds and supported each other, or at least they thought they would. During dinner, JB tells Yuji that he can ask for anything, and he tells her that he would like a better toothbrush. because the current one is too soft flustered by this. JB asks him if he's been using her toothbrush this entire time, and Yugi tells her that she's been brushing her mouth with his long and rough toothbrush, so it shouldn't matter. JB realizes how dumb she was and buys 2 more toothbrushes. Yugi apologizes, but she tells him that she should have expected him to be as crude as a Sako. Sadly, Yuji became a thing that reminded JB of a Sako, which bothered her, and neither of them knew how to connect with one another. Once that happened, she would stay up and ask him if being with her would remind him of a Sako. She cried one night apologizing because it's too difficult for her. As days passed, JB began coming home less and less with all the time he was left with. He wondered if he should go on a journey. He remembered Isako telling him that if there's a path he doesn't know, he should stop and try to find his way through it. Even when making wrong choices, he should try to broaden his view and discover what lies ahead of him. She promised him that they would go on a journey together on her motorcycle, but she never made good on her promise. Yugi gets up telling JB that he's going on a journey wherever the wind takes him and promises her that he will come back. Yuji was surprised that she let him go so easily because she will be lonely at night, but drives on a Sako motorcycle. Days pass, and he meets with people from all walks of life while camping. He continues going through the rain and even messages Julia that he loves her somewhere in the middle of the road. His bike breaks down and he has to tow it. A man comes up to him and asks him if he would want to ride to somewhere safe, but Yugi says that he's just an idiot running around with no place to go. The man laughs, thinking it must be nice to be young, which changes something. Yuji at nights, he wonders if being young is what he's missing, and emails JB that he's going home. He opens a drink to give to Ao's grave and apologizes that he came back without understanding anything. Yuji apologizes for breaking her bike, but he hears Ako asking him if he had fun. He tells her that he enjoyed his journey, but wonders what he should do now. He feels like this journey has taught him what he's missing, and thinks that he needs to just take another shot at being young and going to an ordinary school as an ordinary student a few months later. However, Yuji was sitting in front of a criminal detective who interrogated him about his identity, asking him if he's an assassin, but Yuji told him that he's just a student. An hour later, Yuji was released and the sergeant apologized because they got a call from the Ministry of Defense on his behalf, commanding them to let Yugi walk freely on his first day out. The principal greeted Yuji and began driving him to his new high school, but she wondered why he was arrested before his first day, so Yuji revealed that he was carrying a pistol in his backpack. Those words made the girl scream with her hands off the wheel, and Truck was about to find his new EEI victims, but Yuji took control of the wheel and saved them from entering that whole genre. However, the girl had already pissed herself and nearly ran into another car before they arrived at the academy. This was the normal school he had wished for, and inside the gates the principal introduced herself as Tabana. But Yuji noticed something was off even though it was a weekday. The campus looked like a ghost town, so the principal revealed that there's only 5 other students living on campus with him. But Yugi had one last question and asked her if this was truly an ordinary school. So the principal told him that it truly was a normal school, but because of his conditions, this was the only facility that could accept him. When he got to the dormitory, a maid appeared behind Yugi and introduced herself as Kine, but he wondered why that she was wearing a maid uniform when she's a student. She put him to his room, and while he thought it looked well maintained, there was something off about it that night in the baths. He wondered if this was truly going to be an ordinary life in the morning. Yuji decided to flash the entire population with his huge plot and took an eye drop and a shot of grape juice before beginning his 26-mile run. Although he was in a different place, nothing had changed since the time he used to live with his master. He remembered the way she taught him to be a fast runner to get the girls when he's young and in middle school. It's about defeating others in fights. But after that, it's all about how smart he was. He continued remembering how she was the only person that had been a hope in his life, but because of her overwhelming attitude, he's realized that he got tired of dealing with overwhelming women ever since. Just as he opened the door to leave, a red-haired girl fell in front of him and exposed her plot armor, while another orange head ran in front of him and jumped on the couch. The red-haired girl jumped on top of her and started trying to brush her hair, and Yuji wondered why this seemed like a plot development setup. He tried introducing himself to the girls, but the red-haired girl was shocked to hear his name. However, she tried introducing herself back, saying that her name is Su-om, and made Maki introduce herself as well, but she was too startled to shake his hand at first as he walked around school. He met the tsundere Michiru, and by the end of the day, he met a girl called Saki. However, when he tried getting closer to introduce himself, she nearly slashed his neck off with a box cutter. He expected her to pull something out of the blue and told her that it was nice to become friends with her. When the night arrived, he realized that everyone was home. But since there wasn't any homework in their school, the only thing they could be doing was playing with themselves video games. I meant video games. He decided to ignore what they were doing and just enter his room, but noticed that someone had broken into his room because of his tape trap. He barged in screaming, not to move, but Omen's plot defied gravity and just kept bouncing in front of him. He wondered why a stripper was in his room when it's not his birthday day. That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that. She laughed at how blunt his reaction was, and when he walked to open his fridge, she asked him how he kept walking so calmly into his room, so he told her that she was the one who's flaunting her giant plot cannons, but he thought they looked amazing. A few minutes later, she told him that he seems to be used to women, so she wondered if he had an older sister to deal with. Yugi revealed that he used to have one until she passed away, so Al apologized for bringing her up. However, she wanted to ask him what his sister's name was, and Yuji told her that it was Kazuki Hearing. That name shocked her, but she finally finished changing and asked him if she looks good, but Yugi told her she looks worse than his dead dog. Emotional damage. She thought he was cold, but asked him what those mysterious containers on the table were, so he told her it was his dinner after hearing how miserable his meal was going to be. She decided that she was going to prepare dinner for him as his new big sister, but he told her that she needs to be careful with those words because he was raised in a household straight out of Alabama after she left to prepare him some food. Yuji realized that something was off because his door was locked this morning, and since there was no evidence of it being destroyed, he wondered if she was able to lockpick the door and realized that she was the one thing that was extremely off about the school. She remembered the day when their school bus fell off the cliff and the horrifying scenes she saw that day, and said the words, "I found you." Yugi realized that this wasn't a normal school at all, and that each and every single one of those girls likely had something off about them that they were hiding. Just then, he received a call from Jay telling him that there's been a new mission assigned to him, so he took out his suitcase and placed the code in, realizing that this wasn't the ordinary school life he dreamed of. The following morning, JB showed up and asked him if he was enjoying his new school life, but he said he was liking it a lot more before she showed up. She was sad. He was still giving her the cold shoulder, but she asked him if he was enjoying this new ordinary life in his ordinary school. So you told her that the only thing that wasn't ordinary was how ugly her face was. She told him to be careful or he might accidentally pass away, but he told her it would be better than seeing her ugly face every day. JB realized that his words just clapped her harder than he used to, so she decided to leave and pulled the sickest drift as she drove away.